Let me from now on. We're gonna go as a group.
Conversation.
Hey, everybody. We're gonna, okay, go ahead.
First agenda item is public comment. Looking around, I really don't see any public here at the moment. So, maybe go on to announcements. Anybody have anything they'd like to bring up at this time?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. First, I was told there was gonna be a lot of public comments. I was kind of excited to hear some of that, but I guess they changed their mind. So, a couple of announcements. One, well, they're all important, but the first thing I want to mention, we have hired a mechanic. He is going through his orientation or his pre-work stuff. He should start December 9th. So we've kind of got the plan.
Did it get December?
December 9th, yep. We've got the plan starting out. He's going to be at each course for 1 week at a time. So each month he'll spend a week at each course just so you can, it's hard to bounce around every day. So, and then of course, if something breaks, he can jump in a truck and take off to wherever the emergency is. So really that's huge. We finally got that done. We were all very impressed with the interview and can't wait to get him going.
Can we move to your next announcement on that mechanic? I know he's mobile, but are we going to need to go through CMF to get him a vehicle and some tools, or do they want to?
Starting out, he will use whatever truck that we have right now, as we can. But we are I'm working with them to come up with different prices. I don't want to go through CMF. I'm trying to purchase the truck, maybe off Blue Wave. With an enterprise fund, we can do that. So I've got a couple of different options. CMF, it would be 8 months before we could get a truck. And then we have to pay them monthly for this. And I mean, we're hiring a mechanic. I think he can do it. So.
Also, unless the superintendents can correct me, I don't know that we have the proper testing equipment for hydraulics and or electronics. Are we anticipating having to purchase them?
We will have to purchase something. So once he gets on board, we'll kind of go through and see exactly what he needs. We did put the lifts in all the shops, so we're set up there. They've got a lot of the basic tools. Now, there definitely are going to be things that he needs. So once he gets on board, and he has very extensive background with hydraulics, with electronics. So he'll be able to kind of look and create that list of what we need.
In terms of that, I know that he's impressive and has some apparently experiences. How much experience in the golf business do we have?
Not much in the golf business, but it's good.
We anticipate maybe being able to send him some seminars to
Yes.
where he could pick and get more golf experience and various equipment,
Yeah,
wheels and what have you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've talked about all that after his interview, after he left. We sat as a group and talked about different trainings and maybe even working with some of the other superintendents around, letting them chat out some of their mechanics. We're going to definitely get as fast as we can, fast track the golf experience as much as we can.
Any other persons on the board after that?
Jason, I think it's Leger. It's Leger. I don't know if it's Ledger or Leger, but yeah. Seems like a great guy. I think he's going to fit in well.
Was he from Wichita or did we bring him in?
He's been in Wichita for several years.
Emergency.
Pennsylvania, maybe. We talked to a lot of people, but yeah, he's been here for a while.
Any other questions? All right.
Okay, second thing I've got someone here I want to introduce to you. Sydney Travis just came on board. This is her start of her second week. She is the customer service clerk that we've been going through the process to bring on. So if you don't mind, I was going to have her step up and kind of tell you a little bit about herself and the role. Get to know her.
Up here?
Yep.
Okay.
Like Kristen said, this is only my second week, so I'm still kind of getting acclimated to everything. But I was brought on to improve customer service, hospitality, and also explore some new business opportunities that we might be able to get started. So I'm looking forward to working with everybody, and I'll be all around all 4 courses, and I'll learn everybody's name at some point, but just give me a minute.
And she's going to office out of Tex, or one second. She's going to office out of Tex, but like she said, she'll be spending, there's just no other space. Nobody has any other office space. So a lot of the time at Auburn with the banquet side of things. And then, like she said, there's I feel like a lot of potential for completely new lines of business that are untapped for us. So she'll be a big part of that. And then, of course, the customer service side of things, improving across the board, just constantly looking for ways to improve that side of things. So, anybody have any questions for her?
Yeah, Sydney, welcome. Where have you been? Where were you before?
So I've been in customer service for 10 years in the car business. So this is a big switch. I know a little bit about golf and I do enjoy the game of golf, but I hope to improve my game while I'm here. But yeah, I do love working with the public. I love making people happy, putting a smile on people's face.
So to elaborate a little bit with what you did in your role at the car.
So I was front of house management. So I did all events, sometimes 400, 500 people events from start to finish, catering, planning. I had about 15 people that I managed. And I was kind of a jack of all trades, really. I really could fit into any role.
Any other questions for Cindy? Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, and I only have one other item that I can't really talk about, but I'm going to tease it a little bit. I'll be able to talk about it more next month, but we are this coming Friday. Yeah, Friday, we are going to sign an event at Auburn that is a more of a almost national level event. It's something that kind of came to us and Michael took off with it. And we've been working with them for a couple of weeks, but we've got Visit Wichita. It's going to bring a lot of people into town for 4 or 5 days, about 100 people from out of town for 4 or 5 days. And I'll get into it more. I just don't want to jump the gun and say anything about it. But once we do, we'll be putting this out everywhere. But it's a really cool event, more of the level of event that I would like to start getting more of, more national exposure, regional exposure, not just people that live 5 miles from here, but we have the facility. If we get it where it should be, we can attract more of that stuff. And there's a huge economic impact. And it's just, I mean, that's my understanding. Originally, that's what that course was built for. Now they handcuffed us a little bit because they took away all the parking and did some other things, but yeah, I'm excited. Next month or the next week, I'll be able to tell you guys more about it, but it's going to be really cool. It will get a lot of media exposure. I can tell you that.
Anything else from the board? I do have one thing that I know it probably just is more in the new business. As I've gone through the season and all the difficulties that we've been having in terms of trying to get employees and the time frame it takes and how the particular human resources works. I don't know if there's a way that maybe we can speak to some council persons or something to see if we can't get some things that adapted in terms of that so we can get our employees into the pay ranges that they deserve. And maybe get some differentiation between the new hires and the old hires and the returning persons in order to be a little more equal in how we present positions and where we are able to move employees to, and if we need to change classifications in order to enable us to do these various things so that we don't go through the same problems again next year in terms of trying to find help for the facilities, because we're going to wear out some of our employees if we don't do something a little bit different. So that being said, I don't know, we want to go back and speak to some of the council representatives again, possibly speak to the manager. I don't know what the solution is, but I really don't want us to see us struggle again the next season on the same problems. It doesn't make much sense. We are an enterprise fund. We do pay for what we do. So that being the case, I'd be welcome any suggestions or input from other board members or staff or either way.
Well, and I'm going to add a new element to that that's going to be an issue. We just had a meeting this week out of nowhere that all seasonal staff, apparently this has not been done correctly, but seasonal staff is basically going to be required to be let go for 3 months and be a true seasonal employee. Our entire division is seasonal staff. And I know some of you guys that staff in here have not heard this yet, don't freak out. We just had this meeting the other day, so I'm gonna dive in. They said that there's an opportunity to reclassify some of those positions from seasonal to part-time. They can work the same amount of hours, but seasonal are gonna be required to be terminated for a 3-month period minimum and then rehired. That's impossible. So I'm gonna work to figure out what we can do. Now, if we have to reclassify those positions as part-time, I don't know how many we can do. I mean, our entire staff is basically the people in this room and then seasonal staff that work year round, some of the retired folks and just different people that we have that are our core. And then during the busy season, we have students come in pretty much. There's no period where we can let them people go for 3 months. So I've got to figure this out. Staff, don't panic yet. I'm gonna go to work on this and figure out what we can do because recreation's in the same boat. It hit all of us at the same time. So, but I do want to bring that up. I'm gonna have to start reclassifying, but I don't know how many positions I'm gonna be allowed to go from seasonal to part-time. So this is all brand new, but I just want to throw it out that this is probably a discussion we're gonna have over the next couple months once I try to figure out what our options are.
Yes, is this something completely new, or, I mean, in the past we've had, when we hired, we could either classify them as limited part-time or seasonal. The seasonal has to be a true seasonal. I've always classified mine as a limited part-time.
No, so it has to be true part-time. What we have been told up to this point was they can work so many hours. We've never been told that they're
average 30 hours a week for the calendar year.
But we were told basically that this has been the process. We've just done it incorrectly and they want us to get in compliance, which, okay, if that's a rule, that's a rule. But now I've got to figure out how do we navigate this? So, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong things. This is it. I mean, we had a real quick meeting there and they kind of caught the whole department off guard. So we just had to figure out. I'm going to have a lot of meetings on my end so don't panic. This don't have to happen tomorrow, but we've got to figure out how to get everything the way it should be. So,
Staff.
Okay, so like, I've got 2 seasonals.
I don't think.
So the time for me to be able, the best time for me to let them go, if we do have to let them go, would be December, January, and February.
don't do anything right now. Let me work with this and figure out what we can do. So I'm bringing this up more just as a board over the next few months. There's probably going to have to be some things that we figure out. So no changes on staff yet. Let me work with it and we'll go from there. I'm just bringing it up to kind of give you a heads up that we may have some more challenges on that front.
You'll let us know if there's anything we can do in terms of council or staff or.
Yeah, and I mean, what day was it? Like
Thursday,
Thursday or something. So, and we've had this irrigation and all this other stuff. So let me get this going and I'll deal with that next week. So I'll dive into that next week. It may be something I can work with HR, work with city manager, and we can figure it out. No problem. I don't know yet. I'm just bringing it up just to kind of put on your radar that we've had to change a few things with the operations.
It's just a matter of, if they need us to help, I mean, we need to be available. But again, we're looking at 5 months before press time really hits again. But if we need to go through some of the council persons to maybe help us a little bit or whatever it takes. I mean, the obvious is we certainly like to alleviate the same situation coming up again next year in terms of personnel. That being said, does anybody else have something they might want to bring up at the moment? If not, we'll move on to the minutes of the last meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Come move.
A second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right, into the finance and rounds update. Good news there.
Everyone should have a copy. I gave you a lot of paperwork. Which one? Okay, so this goes through October. The financials that you have in front of you, they're also on this slide. So I just got those this afternoon. So If anything stands out, let me know. They look pretty good. So we'll go to the regular rounds report real quick and look at the numbers. Year to date for number of rounds, we are about 8,000 behind last year, but the fact that we closed Tex and we've had more rain, it's weird times of the year. 165,000 rounds essentially through October, not too bad. And then if you look at, we're still up over 2022, just a little bit behind last year. And if you look at October alone, we had great weather for basically every day of the entire month of October, and we were up 2,000 rounds over last year. October was a very, very good month, both from all the way around, revenue, around everything. So I'm really happy with that. The car rentals, we have, this was the end of October. By now, we have passed what we did last year up to this point, which we were, if you remember, we've been way behind all year slowly because we closed and slowly chipping away. So we've caught back up. I'm really happy about that. And we're actually ahead of last year. So car rentals are doing well. The cart fund I'll talk about in a second, it's doing way better than, I mean, when I put that together, it kind of projected worst case scenario, and it's way ahead of where it was projected to be at this point. Food and beverage numbers, we, again, being closed and all the stuff that we went through, we're still a little bit up over last year. We haven't really had events because we had no staff, especially at Auburn. So, we're basically dead even where we were at last year, still, 80,000 up over 2022. So Trevor's going to talk more about food and beverage in just a little bit. And if anybody has questions, just stop me anymore. Driving range, 2022, we were at 175,000. Last year, we were up to 200. This year, we're at 230,000. You do the math, that's about 2.5 million golf balls have been hit this year. So it's wild. But yeah, 230,000. And then, we've talked about it. I talk about it every time. Even at MAC, we've got the driving ranges closed more and more and more as First Tee continues to grow and they do their programming. So even with that being the case, 230,000 on range bullet. Merchandise.
Yes, before you move on from there.
Yep.
With that amount of usage, are we gonna have any golf ball problems, or are we in good shape? Or-
We just ordered more. They're more readily available now. Thank goodness, they've kind of caught up, so we can get them pretty quick. I just ordered some a couple of weeks ago. Kind of every course got about whatever it was, 12, 15 boxes of ball, which is enough to get through spring, and then we'll do another order later.
With that kind of usage, do we need to go back and start looking at those artificial tees again as a priority, or we wanna?
Yeah, I think so. So, yes, my answer, I really want to get through this irrigation RFP this week.
Okay,
And
well, I'm just
just in
saying,
case there's extra funding down, I'm just kind of hesitant to pull the trigger on really diving into big projects, but I think that would, especially the other two courses yet. Yep. Merchandise sales were up. Steve is, I don't know how you were closed for a month and you're up like you are, but doing really well. And then of course, Auburn, we've been trying to get through all that stuff. And then Mac and Sim pretty close last year. So pretty good numbers there. Total revenue, October, we did almost $100,000 more than we did last October. So October was a fantastic month. For the year, we're $140,000 over last year. We're on track to beat November last year, depending on how cold it's going to be the next 2 weeks. But we're just at $6 million in revenue so far this year. Again, all things considered. And when in March, April, May, when all the winter kill and all the crap that happened, the cyber attack, I would have thought we're going to be behind this year, and somehow here we are. So pretty happy with that. Looking at our project fund, we still have 190,000 sitting in the general project, and with that general project, I can move that to, or we can move that to any of the other 4 categories that we want. The cart fund, again, it keeps going up. Even after we're making our payments every month, it still grows. So we're making our payments and it continues to go up and up, which is, the goal of that is to never have to deal with carts again. This fund takes care of itself. Even when we get a new lease, we're still gonna have all this money in there. It's working perfect. The equipment fund is, we just did the $55 annual equipment fund payment. It's not transferred in. It's hard to tell because this doesn't update It updates quarterly because of the evergreen fee, $3 evergreen fee goes into this. But it should be about 200 to 215,000 in that fund. And then the clubhouse fund and the grounds fund. So altogether, we have about 1.3 million total in the project funds. And then.
Back up just a minute.
Yep.
Clubhouse fund, I know that was from all the work that we've done prior to this point right here. I stopped by over at Auburn the other days, and the east door at the pro shop wasn't closed hardly. I knew it was in the old projections to do those doors, and it's still a huge problem, or is it?
Yeah, we looked at it the other day, trying to figure, I mean, with the quote that we got, I don't remember what it was,
I knew it was really high.
It was like 20 grand or something. It was crazy. So we need to shop that around. Yeah, we got that. And we also have an air conditioning unit that needs to be replaced at Auburn, and a heater at Tex needs to be replaced. So we're looking at 20 grand for those two items. They're both 20 years old.
But we are looking at getting some other bids on those doors.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it creates problems with heating and air conditioning and everything else, let alone public service. But
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, one other, I should have said this during announcements, but you just reminded me, we finally, today, I had a meeting, we're getting Wi-Fi in the clubhouses, so we can put up cameras, we can do live, we can do tournament scoring to the TV, there's a lot of things we can do, but we're finally, after a 2-year battle, for some reason, gonna have Wi-Fi in the clubhouse, it's probably within 2 weeks, so, yeah, that's a big deal. But yes, to answer your question, we need to. Okay, looking at you have the financials in front of you here, but as you kind of go through revenues, this is through 82% of the month or 83% of the month or of the year. So revenues, obviously you want those to be above that number, and our total revenues, this is the new revised budget, which had a lot of the revenue that was expected to be budgeted went up quite a bit, and we're still at 84%. So we're up ahead of the budget. You can kind of go through that if you haven't even got that in front of you. If you have any questions or anything, let me know. If you look at expenses, you go line by line, but I'm gonna step forward here. Our total expenses were at 77% of total budget through 83% of the year. So, and that's even, we did have every year you're gonna have some crazy expenses. We had a lot of extra stuff on the golf course just trying to recover from the issues. So, I'm fairly happy with these numbers. So our fund right now has $1.8 million. So we have whatever that was, 2 million, I think, in the projects, and then we've got 1.8 in our general fund. At the end of the year, as you all know, anything above $1 million is going to be transferred into that project fund for the projects. That way, we have the flexibility to make moves as we need without having to wait for council and all this stuff. So, again, I'm pretty happy, all things considered, where we're at. I definitely think next year we can blow this away, especially after we talk about what we need to talk about later tonight, and then that Trevor and Sydney are going to be adding. I think there's a lot of potential for next year to be $500,000 or more better than what we did this year, without increased expenses that much. Any questions or comments, concerns on
your personal services and your base compensation? It's all the part-time and no fees and all, everything.
That's right. Yep, that's all pay.
Would that be impacted much if we were actually able to get the employees in at the correct rates? Or?
Sure. I mean, we're paying more per person, so yeah.
Well, I'm just saying in terms of the budgetary item itself. Had we been able to do it, would we be maybe over than that line item, or?
No, well, let me look at where we're at here.
That's for, I mean, it's 71%.
Yeah, 2.2 essentially, and we're 2.7. So we would be a lot closer. We're gonna come in under this year. We would be a lot closer to that number. But when we look at budget for next year, looking to create the revised budget for next year, I would include that in the changes and work with budget to increase that amount.
Okay, well, I thought we had done that when we did it last year, when we did the revised last year, which is why I was curious.
We did. It went, you can see the original, the first one was basically 2 million, and we went to 2.2. So we would.
I guess basically what I'm saying is I want to make sure that if we start to get everything we can do to get the people that, the personnel that's needed, that we accommodate that line item in the budget.
Right. I mean, the goal is, they're not gonna let me increase it by 500,000. So every year I can make small amounts to get where we need to be.
I know we did it, but then that's when we ran into the roadblock about being able to actually give them the raises that they deserve.
And we've done, I mean, we've done a lot. There's a lot of people, and we've got a lot more to go still, I mean, obviously, but we're chipping away as fast as we can. And I don't know a number. We've done a lot of raises over the last 12 months. And we continue to do them, and it's one by one, basically, so, we're still chipping away. This isn't really part of the finances, but I threw this in. This is a very, very good thing to see. Ron put him, he can talk about this a little more in a second. I'm kind of getting off track here, but it's the fairways at Mac have grass, which is awesome. He did the overseeding it took this time. We tried a couple different things earlier in the year that really didn't take. This did. I've gotten a lot of good feedback over the last few weeks, which is, to be honest, fairway wise, the first time this year I've gotten any good feedback from Mac with the issues that were created. So,
This is the rye overseeding?
mhm. Yeah. So this was last week,
The pictures, yeah, those were taken last week.
last Monday. Any questions? Again, I'll move the finance part of the meeting up so you can see where we're at before we start discussing other things. So, no other questions on that?
All right, no other questions. We move to new business. Does anybody have any new business they'd like to bring up before we start the policy review? No question, then let's go ahead and jump into the policies.
I guess I'll take off here. So I put on the agenda cancellation policy. You should have a handout here. It says no show and overbooking. Stop there. And basically, this is the policy that's been in place for a long time, and I've looked at it. I didn't realize, and this is my fault, there's not a set time of how far in advance you need to cancel to be considered a no-show, not to be considered a no-show. And so I just kind of wanted to go over a couple of different policies, and each month bring a couple new to the table just to kind of review them and make sure they're what we need. So I've had a lot of questions about this. What is the policy? After 2 no-shows, including booking privilege for the next month, essentially. But what's considered a no-show? If I call 5 minutes before my tee time and tell you I'm not gonna make it, there's that cancellation. We need more than that. But if you have a 7:30 tee time, you can't call 6 hours in advance because no one's there. So what's the rule? And then I've been kind of doing a lot of talking to other, even municipalities, and doing a little research. And a lot of them will have you have to let us know by 6 p.m. the day before your tee time instead of a certain amount of hours. Some of them have 24-hour cancellation, so you need to know at least 24 hours in advance. And this, obviously, whether there's circumstances that don't, we're not going to charge someone. But I just want to kind of get your feedback, your thoughts on what that policy could be, because obviously there needs to be some kind of, if someone cancels or doesn't show up constantly, we're losing money. We're losing tee times that we need to be offering people that are wanting to play. So I just wanted to kind of get some feedback from this board on what you think that policy should be.
Ideally, in order to actually use or fill that tee time, you would need at least 24 hours. Is that reasonable or?
Isn't this kind of tied into that whole piece of software we were gonna buy that's gonna notify the world when there is a cancellation? Because I would think most of the time, a 24-hour cancel would get filled.
I mean, we talked about it today. There's a lot of times right now, we cancel a tee time and we just watch the screen and it pops right back up with someone. I mean, people are just waiting for tee times right now. So Yeah, there's and I'll get to what, we're getting ready to change software completely, which I want to talk about in a minute.
Does newest software have standby mode where folks can say, already booked, put me on standby?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a minute, but, so a lot of these policies, I just want to, when people call, I want to be able to give specific answers and direct them to a policy where it's in writing, that this is our rule and we enforce it, and it's done consistently across all 12 courses. So, yeah, I mean, even if we have that standby, that'll be awesome. But I just would like to get the policy in place to say, this is it.
So if somebody books a tea time for 4 or 5 people, and then they consistently show up with 2 people, is that a no-show? Is that treated the same?
Yes. Supposed to be, yes. And that's what we've got to crack down and make sure that's being done consistently.
Who's the no-show? The people who didn't show up or the people who made the reservation?
People that made the reservation. Because there's times they make all of them in there, and I don't know who else to charge, so it'd be, if you booked a tea time, you're responsible for getting your group there.
That being the case, would you be able to book a tea time as a twosome?
You can't book a single, you can book a twosome. And then that leaves the other 2 spots open for a
Well, the reason I say that is somebody books for 3 and somebody gets sick, and now you got a twosome, you're allowing them to go anyway, but you're gonna penalize them then.
if they did not notify us. I mean, what's the alternative?
The tea time's still being used, whether they send 2 or 3 out.
To me, our inventory is 5 slots, or I'll say 4 slots. So if you're not getting a tea time, you're getting one of those 4 slots. So if you got a twosome, we still got another twosome can join you.
Okay, well, I agree with that. Me, it's a little ambiguous, I guess, I don't know. You do, we're gonna say that we do allow twosomes, but we have the ability to join them up if the case is.
Right.
And so,
Yeah, I mean, there's every day, all day. I mean, I know there's a lot more times than there should be where there's twosomes that go out when it's busy, whatever, but we pair people up constantly, or they book a twosome, and you're playing with these gentlemen right over here. We introduce them when they go play.
well, I know in the old days, you couldn't play in a twosome on Saturdays and Sundays. It was prohibited. You had to join up with another group. So, but that's not apparently what the actual rule is now.
Yeah, that's not been in
Okay.
place. So, and that's something we can talk about now. Without starters, it's especially at Auburn. They go to the first tee. If we don't have a starter that day, we have no idea what, you know what I mean? Like, we can't see it. They could go over there with 10 people and go off in twosomes, and we would have no idea without someone out there. So now the other courses, you can look out the window and you can kind of control it a little better.
Am I just missing it on here, the part about whatever you just said about you get 2 freebies and then I'm restricted or whatever?
Yeah, the first bullet point says having 2 or more no-shows. Yes.
So even if somebody wakes up sick and I've got an 8 o'clock tea time and I just can't get out of bed and make it, that's one of my 2 freebies, and that resets first of each month, every other month, first of every other month.
And you can still call and make tea time, you just can't book online. I mean, we're not saying you can't play, but you're paying membership dues, but it just blocks your online booking.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think this is onerous. I mean, I think
Yeah,
it's,
resets fairly often, and if you're not a repeat offender, you're probably not gonna have.
that's right. I mean, if you just legitimately get out of bed that morning and your car won't start or whatever.
Hey, I like that part of it. I just want to determine what is the proper window to cancel.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Given that it's pretty easy to get out of jail, then, I mean, it makes sense to me to have a 24-hour cancel if you don't, because like I say, if you miss the 24 hours because of a true emergency, it's just one of your 2 and it resets and you're gonna catch the bad guys, I think.
I think 24-hour might be too much. I mean, I think you can limit it down. And if you have a standby list, they you set it for like 5 hours, 2 hours before. If somebody's on that standby list, they get an email saying you can jump up to that standby, you can get in there. I agree with you on that. I think 24 hours is that window's too big. Just my
I'm not at the counter like these guys. The main thing I hear is, I got called into work. And you probably don't have 24-hour notice if that happened. You thought you were gonna be off or whatever, so that. But again, like you said, how often is that happening? I mean, you get to,
Much less than 24 hours strikes me as you get into problems with people who make early tea times. Now they're doing events in the middle of the night. Because some of them use the 6 PM the night before.
What, on that standby list, let's say that you have a tea time at fucking afternoon, can you still jump on that standby list to jump in if something happens, or can you not? Because right now you can't make two tea times on your schedule something online. So can you be on standby?
Standby, but if you already had a tea time, it would not, you would have to let go of that one before you. So you could get on standby and it would notify you, but when you went to books with this stuff, it would say, yeah.
Trying to think of the pros and cons between something like a 24, even if it's not 24 versus a 6 PM the night before. It seems to me 6 PM the night before, at least nobody's probably in bed yet. Nobody, all the people who are on standby are still gonna be watching if they want to play the next morning or the next day. Seems like we'd still fill a lot of times, and it kind of settles your problem that it's not, for most cases, it's not gonna be a full 24 hours.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind hearing the pros thoughts because I see and deal with the tea times that might cancel and then refill.
They're a talkative bunch.
I think 24 hours is too long personally. Somebody called 6 to 8 hours in advance, and then we just told them, okay, I have to mark you as a no-show. Probably going to be a lot of negative words. If we do go with with a policy on this, the 6 PM the night before seems like the more logical choice to me for what I think the feedback we would get would be. And a lot of this, to be honest with you, is sometimes from our standpoint is common sense, right? Like if we feel like if somebody calls 4 hours in advance, say, hey, I absolutely can't make it, and it's a Saturday, we know we can fill that tea time. Right. So, but if we have to stick to a policy that's very, very strict, then.
So you want us in the policy to put something like extenuating circumstances?
Well, I think
You want a loophole?
what worries me there is someone, I'll block 4 tea times one day, and then I'll wait until the last minute and see how many I have with no penalty, when we had 500 people trying to get tea times and didn't get them. That's my only fear with that.
Yeah.
Do we have any statistics of when most of the no-shows have been coming? Morning teas or afternoon teas?
Yeah, that's random.
Most of the time, unless habitual people that do this regularly.
Oh, we have a lot of people that are blocked every month. Yeah, and they call me like, why can I not make a tea time?
Same deal. Over and over.
Yeah.
Here's one, I think, I don't remember who brought this up, but if it's cart path only for the day, we have some senior players or some people with some handicaps that just can't do it, right?
Just gonna bring that up. Yeah.
So here's what I say. If the course is modified or the weather is bad, I'm okay. Like, I understand. But if we're full access, 90 degrees, it's not raining, then.
I call you when I say my grandmother just died.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah.
I mean, I do think there needs to be some flexibility for them. Maybe, I don't know, or maybe that leaves too many loopholes. I don't know.
But there again, you get 2 and it resets every other month. So
True that.
that's
Yeah.
there for it.
Yeah, that's right. That's
If you
true.
leave a loophole, then every time you
Right.
cancel, it's gonna be a loophole.
Well, and like my grandma's not gonna die 3 times in a month. So
Mine did in my last job.
I know you guys are gonna make some kind of crack about me having a grandma. I know. Just stop it.
When you're referencing that, you book a threesome. And player X is the person, his name is on there. He's the person, or she's the person that booked the tee time. X, if the X got sick and couldn't make it, now you're down to a twosome. And then if you're gonna penalize them for that, you penalize them, you're still using the tee time. X gets the penalty. A legitimate reason
Yeah, I
for it.
think we look at that different. I don't look at a tee time as being all spot on that tee time. So we're not being of that time period.
Yep.
And that's to me, and now, if you book a threesome and you don't show up, is that 3 no-shows or is that 1? And that's where it's different.
Basically, the one, whoever booked the tee time is the one that's gonna get tapped for it.
Right.
I mean, that's.
And again, I think with the allowance of 2 gives you, things happen. It resets every other month. So, you know, if you're not habitual in doing it, you shouldn't have a problem.
They get a warning so that they know, okay, I've got 1 strike on me right now. I need to be sure, you know.
I don't think there's any way with the current system to let them know that. We have to make discretion everyone individually. That's not possible.
It generates an email when
After a no-show?
no-show.
Oh, it does. Sorry. Okay, I don't ever see that side of
We
it.
get an email that says I've been charged with a no-show.
So in that case, if they receive that email and they call and we talk through it and it's, okay, this was well, we can remove that, if whatever. Again, not creating a loophole. If they say, look, it was raining at my house, or I don't know, whatever. Car path only that day, so I didn't come. Okay.
For sure.
I personally think the policy should be pretty cut and dry, either 24-hour or 6 PM, because then common sense and
Yeah.
the loopholes are always going to come into play. So
Like 6 PM from another point of, we're not trying to figure, you called at 11, your tee time was at 10:30, what that? Anybody on this tee sheet today is, if we don't know, then we know you're a no-show.
Easily understood.
How much trouble are we still having with customers using various names and booking at various golf courses? Just so they can try to get their best time possible.
Now, you guys can talk more, you see it a lot more. Yeah, I
I'm
know.
gonna no-show people, create a profile and
Yeah, I mean,
create another way to get a tee time
all the
online.
time we were having problems with player X would get on and want to have a tee time at Pawnee, and then he'd try McDonald and get this tee time, but if you could get this one at this time, then that was better. So he's actually booking 2 or 3 tee times.
I don't see as much of that
I
as
don't
we
see
did.
much of that anymore.
Not as in the past when they were booking all over and wouldn't
Yeah.
cancel any of them. Now they get dinged, so they know they can't have online tee times, so.
That he's still gonna get the no-show
Yeah.
Yeah.
somewhere. Whatever it is, he chooses not to go. I think I'm being swayed towards the 6 PM thing just because of
That's
what.
my.
Yeah.
As a person who probably never booked a tee time in his life.
Especially online.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I would go with whatever the board decides on, so. I pretty much walked in every place I've ever played, so. Unfortunately, I'm probably not the person to judge that.
6 PM.
Would anybody like to make a motion that we accept this as it's printed here?
Yeah, I think I just did. I'll make the motion that we.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Carries majority. Okay, go on to the next thing. League requirements of next one.
Yeah, so you should have a handout here in front of you. This is something I put together just for something to go off of. The reason I put this on, again, our biggest issue is tee time availability. People complaining that they can't get a tee time or cases, they're not wrong, that other people get special treatment, get tee times, that others don't have access to. So we have several, a million leagues throughout the golf system that, there's never been kind of a requirement in place that I understand, and I've tried to dig in of what constitutes a league. And, you know, we were trying to figure out how does someone get booking prior to the 7 days? Trying to say, well, maybe, okay, it's 3 tee times, 3 or 4 tee times. That's a group, we can book you ahead because you need those tee times back to back. So several times since we've kind of started toying with that, I've heard people say, well, I'm going to partner up, my group will partner up with this group. And that way we have 4 blocks and you'll make give us a group and we can book ahead of the window. That's not a league. That's 2 tee times, 4 tee times. Just playing, and now they get any tee time they want while 1,500 other people are complaining because they can't get a tee time. So people are going to find, like you said, they're going to find the loopholes no matter what and figure this out. But I need something again to be able to point to say this is a league. So what I'm thinking is to create a league agreement, essentially, just saying at the start of the year, you are going to be a league. This is kind of what we ask of you. And that would be, you know, to sign off on it. One would be stating that we reserve the right to, if a business opportunity, a tournament or whatever we need, we have the right to take that over your league on certain weeks if we need to. And we would definitely give them as much notice as possible. Making sure all players are checking in and paying any appropriate fees before they go to the first tee. Making sure there's no outside alcohol brought onto the property. What else do I have on here? Any extra holes will have to be approved and paid for through the pro shop. Some of the things that we see week after week with some of the league. And then one of the most important thing is 24 hours prior to teeing off, letting us know how many people you're going to have play that week. We have a couple of show up, they book 3 tee times, and then they show up with 25 people and they get mad that we have nowhere to put these people, or they book 5 tee times and show up with 8 people. Kind of goes back to what we're talking about here. So we have to have some kind of requirement. Just them, look, we're giving you this league, we're giving you these times, but just do us a favor and let us know how many people you're going to have. You know, we have some leagues that do a tremendous job at doing that. We know exactly who's showing up and when, and we have some that don't do it at all. They let people sign up 30 minutes before they tee off, and we ask them, and they say, we don't have to come today. Well, they can't do that. So I guess what I, again, want to hear from this board is, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, I definitely would like to have this league agreement in place. All the current leagues that we have would just simply, we like submit this, we approve it, they're good to go. Nothing would really change other than we expect it from. I would like to know kind of your thoughts on what the minimum, what the maximum number of players for a league, how often they can play, that type of thing. So it's a pretty broad topic. We deal with this a lot. These guys get a lot of mad people in their face every day over this stuff. So I guess I'll just kind of open up for you guys for discussion. Any thoughts on leagues and how that should look?
I'm going to jump to the third question first. Are there people who call themselves a league who are playing more than once a week?
Yes. Yeah.
If you put something in place, what are the consequences if they don't do that? Who's gonna be?
So what we would do, anyone that is approved as a league, we would have, each course would have kind of some way to track it. And if they showed up with more or less people than they should, whatever, broke these rules, I would say the first one would be me reaching out to that league president or whoever's in charge of that league and going over and saying, basically, it's a warning. And again, we can talk about this, maybe second or third offense is your league is dissolved. I mean, we have to have more control over this stuff. And I'm not trying to push anybody away. We got to have some kind of control. And when people call me and say, well, how are they considered a league? I pay the same rate and I can never get a tee time. They get every tee time they want. I don't have an answer to that. And I need something I can point to and say, this is the policy.
This may be more of a gender issue because women's leagues don't do this that I know of. Are there any groups of women that are taking advantage of the league thing? Yeah, we don't do this. So would it be a bridge too far to say that a league has to show that they have officers, they have elections, they have bylaws?
Now, the only thing, we do have a couple of corporate leagues that I would want to do the same thing with in the afternoons. They're actually usually pretty good. I don't ever hear problems from those leagues. They're pretty organized. Yeah, but, that would be the only,
I mean, I'm just trying to think what characteristics make a league a league.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be in charge. Somebody's got to run the thing.
The 24-hour roster is the biggest thing that jumps off to me. I mean, we decide to be a league, as long as you've got, that's a huge advantage to everybody when you at least know exactly how many tee times. That's a big start.
I'm not gonna call anybody out, and it's more than one person, so I'm not singling anybody out, but we have people that make 3 tee times, show up at 25 people, and then go crazy cussing these staff out because we're like, we don't have spots for the, we got 50 tee times right behind you.
And got to experience that back in the day.
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, or like I said, the other way, they put 4 tee times, show up with 8 people, now we just lost tee times to our members or money, which is the 2 things that we don't have nearly enough of. So.
As a person who could be guilty of this.
You don't make tea times, so.
Right. Well, that's the reason I'm guilty, probably. And when they're referencing people that show up and you get too many players and they want extra tee times or not enough to fill the regular times that they have already reserved. I've been a member of that, both instances, both ways. And the organizations do they pay dues, they got secretaries, they got presidents and vice presidents and these things. Hole in one club's the whole works. And, but they're guilty, and I will admit it. And I'm getting buzzed again. And the only thing, because I'm really not interested in not having them play, including myself, obviously. But they may need to organize where, like, by 6 o'clock on the evening prior to the day they go play a course, if they haven't already called their communications office and says, I'm in for tomorrow, so that you will have a deadline there where you call the course that you're visiting the following day and say, we don't need this 1 tee time, blah, whatever the case may be. So basically what you're saying is you gotta enter the tournament or the day's play or whatever it is. I mean, because I still want to accommodate all the players that we can. So whether that's the answer, I can't answer that.
I'm not trying to run off leagues. That's not the purpose. It's just to get a little bit more organized. Like we're taking care of you. We're trying to just help us, help us figure out how many people you're gonna have. I don't think that's too much to ask. I know you guys have like an app where you send it out, are you playing or not? And it
We use Golf Genius,
Yeah.
and we send out an email, and all they have to do is hit a button, yes, I'm playing, or no, I'm not. And then I give these guys a list of who's playing like 2 or 3 days before the play date. And I think it works out okay. It's really good.
Yes, it works well.
And I mean, just some organization and
Why
then,
didn't we do the same thing with these guys that we're doing with the general public and say 6 PM the night before? By 6 PM the night before, you've got to settle on a number, and you've given them 1 full tee times variance. According to what's written here. I mean, by 6 PM the night before, you got to settle on a number, and you're not going to get any more tee times than you got. You can use 1 less. But you can't use 1 more.
Only thing I can say is in the group I play in, if you go to Golf Genius, that eliminates the balls.
I have to do the same thing with my
I
ladies.
second that.
We do use email, but even getting them to all use email was a little stretch for a while, so. Yeah, I get it.
Well, Call Genius is such an easy app to use that you can set it up to send the emails out for you automatically at a specific time. And literally, all you have to do is hit yes or no. It's so easy for someone to sign up and say, yes, I want to play next week or whatever. And then it just puts them in.
We, in our group, to be candid, they have a somewhat of a system like that, and it's that you can email a certain individual or texting. And he gets a text, because when he goes in the morning, you'll see him start writing down names, a list. I mean, these people are already there. They've already said they're gonna play, so
Yeah.
it's just a matter of adapting them to get them where they get it by 6 o'clock the previous evening or something.
The thing I'm saying is, you know, we work out where we ask
We have no problem.
3 tee times for the 18 holers every Tuesday morning. He gives us,
I know by Sunday afternoon.
by Sunday, I send him the list of names and I say, hey, this week we need 4. But I do it by Sunday, and if he can squeeze us in, fine. If he can't, you know what, we either play 5 sims or we go home. I mean, it would never have occurred to us to say, well, you've got to accommodate us.
Yeah, and that's all we're asking on that part. So let's say we go to that 6 p.m. cutoff. What's a league? What now? If I've got this group knows this group, they play all the time. Hey, let's get together. We'll say we're a league. That way we get tee times whenever we're going. That's what
He hit it on the head was that you have to have an organization, you have to have bylaws. But yeah, you have to have,
It's that, Evan.
I don't know if there's any paper tap. But yeah, if we have that situation, they have to have a documentation.
I think in some way that they organize into an entity.
Yeah, wouldn't they have to have a president, a secretary?
Officers?
I play in a league with smaller floors. You don't have the elected, or the elected president and things like that, because we do have such a smaller group. We don't, we're more of a newer group of ladies, then we would be considered not a league at that point if we didn't have the officers or the bylaws or anything like that. So me personally, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Do they hold your tee times on a certain day and time?
Well, we don't usually play the Wichita courses unless wait until late in the.
Is this league put on by the course though?
It was not because we didn't have that many ladies. It has been in the past, but that person has left that course, and so it was ran more or less by just the bigger way to go out and say, hey, we're playing at this time, normal course, whatever. Or I played once a month. I rotated the Wichita courses.
I mean, my thoughts on that, and not to run anybody off, but it feels like 50 leagues right now. If every little group said they were lit, man, it'd be all day, every day. Somebody maybe work with the existing leagues and try to play with them. I mean, where do you draw that line? If you have 10 people that play, that's not a league. That's the problem.
Are considered a league, or a ladies league. Play as a group together as a ladies league, because that's what we've established in that board. I'm just throwing that out.
Who makes the tea time?
It's a set tea time every week.
Okay.
Just like, I mean, Cuban night, ladies night, we had this particular course, and so we have a set tea time. It's 5:45 and 6 o'clock. We have that email that goes out every week that says, hey, we're playing, you know the drill, so that can play, will let us know, and we play.
Somebody has to make the tea time, right?
No, they have it set for us. They have it set because it's a ladies night, ladies week.
Somebody had to make that agreement with the course to set that time. You can't just have that time without somebody saying, yes, you have this particular 2 windows.
That was established by the course itself because we have the ladies league. It's Valley Center. And it's just like on Thursday nights, they have men's league and they have 50 plus people that play, and they have the course shut down because they have so many people and it's just a 9 course, but they don't have the bylaws. They don't have the president and things like that either. They just have a set tea time every Thursday night. or, you know, they're keying off at this time and the course is closed to them.
I've talked to other municipalities that what they do, all of their leagues they run the leagues. They have set times. If you want to join, you join that league. There are no just small groups that call themselves leagues, and then they have the corporate leagues. That's their only option. So if you've got Auburn Hill Men's League, Sam Ladies League, the course runs it. That's all they offer.
Feels like the goal is to eliminate these smaller leagues, what have you, the ability of booking early advance base, earlier than the 7 days.
Where it's just tee times that got together and they figured out a way to get every tee time they want for the whole year. While 1,500 other people, like I keep saying, can never get a tee time. Not fair. It's not equitable at all.
What do you want us to make decisions on to clean that up or help you clean that up?
Well, I think, determining what defines a league, and I like what we just said. I know I get her point, but we're in a situation where there would be 15, there would be unlimited leagues that are just small groups of friends that play golf. And I get, you guys chime in too. You're at the.
I've got a question, like, for instance, just because I'm familiar with them, the Brayburn Men's League at when they set up in the year, they tell you, you discuss, okay, we're gonna start playing first week of April, playing through the last week of September, for instance, right? And and if there's a group that want to do that, okay, like say, you have a league agreement, okay, so you're agreeing, okay, we need 6 tee times every Tuesday morning from this to this. Someone has to sign the paper that they're responsible for those tee times. And if they don't do the cancellation at 6 o'clock the night before, then they're dinged. Or if they decide, yeah, it's August, some guys don't really care to play anymore. Well, you've agreed to have these tee times blocked off through September. So you're dinged. Someone would have to sign the agreement.
And that's, I definitely want to put that together. I just need to put the language that we decide on.
That's the way I see it. It's plain and simple.
Nate, I may bounce this off you when I get it.
Is there a minimum size to what's considered a league?
What's that?
Is there a minimum size to consider?
That's what I count.
2 times or more?
I would say personally 3 tee times or more. 2 tee times could be, that's a group of 8. That's just, people playing golf.
Now, our club, was kind of small. We've been together for years and years, but right now we're only able to support about 2 tee times.
Mhm.
So does that mean that we would no longer be considered a league?
That's what I want to talk about. There's plus and minus. There's always going to be some. How do we handle that situation? Yeah, it's not black and white. And that's what makes it hard.
I might get my head cut off for this, but I'll also just say this, I know we have small leagues, big leagues, and I don't know what it would affect, but maybe you had a league fee that you had to pay to have a league, and then you are guaranteed that, where those small leagues or people will say, like, we're not paying that. You put something in place like that. But
There were others. So the course ran leagues that I was talking about, most of them had that. They told me that.
As someone that sets leagues, like I probably have a dozen that I book throughout the year. It's like I need a point person, somebody I can go to when I have issues, and that's the main one. And then the block of tee times that are requesting, it's like, well, the leagues that have been with me for years get priority. Like they've been on my sheet. My men's club, my jazz guys, my corporate leagues that are always there. And after that, once I get to March or whatever, and I've booked all my leagues, setting up my calendar for the year, then if I have additional leagues that want in, I look and see. I have business women. They came to me this year and wanted to book on a Tuesday night. I have a huge spirit league that night, so it didn't work out because they've been there forever. So it's like, as long as I know who I can go to when I have issues, and if they agree, I do everything in writing through email to make sure we're all on the same page of this is your block of tee times. Most of my leagues play. The nice part of the leagues are, regardless of weather, they show up. So if the course is open, they're playing. Where a lot of times if I have tee times and it's been raining or blah, 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 I'll have a bunch of no-shows or people back out. But almost all the time, my leagues are consistent or are there. So I think just having a point person that I can go to And again, I'll give you one strike, like if your league, you know, if PEC doesn't show up one night, well, then I contact the guy and say, hey, I'm gonna take out the rest of your tee times if you can't guarantee me that you're gonna be here every
How
week.
many non-corporate do you have? Just
Non-corporate, 3. Of any, and all my, like my men's club, my jazz guys that have been here forever, all of those will take public players. So if I get a random single that shows up and is like, hey, I'm looking for someone to play with, both of those leagues will be accepting of, yeah, we'll take an extra guy, you know, stick him in with us if we've got room, and might end up joining their club. So
How many leagues you have this year? You, off the top of your head?
total leagues, I gotta be about 15. Not all of them run year round. I have some church leagues that go longer. My spirit league's pretty much from March till the end of October, but I have some that just go 3 months in the summer and then are done. But pretty consistent revenue. They're there regardless.
What you're talking about a point person could still be, if we had the requirement that they have elected officers, your folks could manage that. I mean,
Yeah, they could call anybody a president. Like, hey, if I got some guy I can go to,
Yeah, you're it.
you're the president.
Sure.
I would say like this says, if you got, there's a league agreement, someone has to sign it, and that's the person that's taking responsibility. So,
Hey, Steve, question. There's a person who wouldn't go play just to go play. You have a league that would accept the signal. When that person comes into the league says you gotta play for the amount we're playing, or we
A
choose
lot of
not
times,
to
like my
have it?
men's club will let them play a couple weeks with them without paying any fees and just see if he gets along with the hodgepodge of guys I got. Some of them don't and they leave, but if they do, they end up paying men's club dues and then joining the club and playing consistently.
Yeah, I guess I was angling more towards day money. I always play for day money.
Yeah, I think it's up to the guy.
kind of to your point, most of the set leagues have some kind of league fee that they pay. It's the league money. It doesn't.
We don't play it to the course.
We don't collect it. But then we have groups that, I mean, it's me and Steve and Marcia and Evan say, we want tee times also. We find 4 other people. We say we're a league, and then once we tee up, we never talk to each other again. We just do that to get the tee time. That's what we.
That's what you're trying to get away from.
Yeah. So I like having some structure, the officer, maybe having, do we say there needs to be some type of a fee? I don't know how we prove that.
Yeah, I think you say, hey, have to have dues, some kind of dues,
Big dues.
and they have to have some kind of organizing document. I don't care if you call it bylaws, because that's,
And then what would be the minimum, I guess, to Sir Robert's question, what would be the minimum number of players? The whole numbers.
I agree with you, 3 tee time minimum.
Still book 2 tee times online. I mean,
Now, so we're gonna run out of time here. I'm gonna talk about the new software we're about to get. With that, you're gonna be able to go online and book 2 tee times. Right now, our software only, you can only book 1, and then you have to back out and try to book another one. By that time, they're 2 hours apart. So the next one, you can book 2 tee times. We're gonna have a big demo scheduled for tomorrow on this program, but that would help a lot with some of these smaller groups that say they can't ever get tee times for their group. They would be able to get up to 10 people if they're on one booking, back to back.
Wanting to limit the day or days these leagues can play per week.
I mean, in my opinion, yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people that basically have set tee times for the whole week. And to me, that's not, and trust me, you can ask these guys how much we hear about that. It's a lot. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what that looks like. That's kind of I'll give my input, but it's for this board to decide. But yeah, I think just because you're a league shouldn't mean you can play 5 days a week. Every time you want, you get first dibs on the best tee times every single day of the week. So what's that number?
So if you're defined as a league, what are they gonna be able to do
That's what we're,
during the day? Any day?
that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
I know that leagues that were put in on my tee sheet that were in the middle of my ladies' league
you know, so it needs to probably go through us.
Yeah.
And if someone is saying, call one of my, hey, this is the league from Auburn Hills.
And that's a good point. That needs to be put in, that all league play needs to go through the golf professional, the head professional at that golf, or the assistant.
I mean, there's a lot of groups that Sims that are 2, maybe 3, because I'm thinking it should be for 4 for a league. Evening leagues are basically what I've done is my league times are basically right after the high schools at 4, and they go till 5:30. And if I can fit your league in there, I will. But after that, I leave it open to the public because, and I run off both sides because there'll be guys that come in, hey, I just want to get a couple. Because I have 17 leagues. In the evenings, you can't get on if I don't do that.
Right. And that's a big part of our, I mean, a lot of people work, they come out to work, that's the only time they can get there. And we have leagues at every school. What's the point?
And I know we'll still fill tee times, but I don't want us to lose sight of the fact that people join leagues for more reasons than just to go play golf.
Sure.
They join leagues for the socialness of it. And if you're gonna make it hard enough that Robert's 8 guys can't get together and play golf with their buddies, we could lose a couple of them. I mean, that people don't just do leagues to get tee times.
Right.
They do it for the social aspect of it as well. I just don't want us to lose sight of that.
Sure. No, I mean,
If there's 50 leagues though, that's taking up a lot of.
Agreed. There's a happy medium here somewhere.
But if they're using it, times, what difference does it make?
is there a day at Auburn where there's not a league? Or one day a week?
Tuesday.
Obviously, this time of year, leagues are done, but
Sure, but yeah, when everybody's trying to play.
If they're consistently using the tee times, what different does it
Because they're getting early access to those tee times when everyone, because we get cussed out every single day because people say, why do they get a tee time whenever they want?
That's
And I-
kind of join a league then. It's kind of defeating the public golf.
Yeah.
Yes, it's getting more to the country club aspect of it.
You tell them to join a league, they say, when I bought my membership, you didn't tell me I had to get a league to play golf. And they get not nice at all when you tell them that.
It's true. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, take the corporate leagues out, we probably have 150 people that's playing in leagues. And we have 1,700 each. And the leagues get those 150 people, I'm guessing, get the tee times they want year round. The other 150 or other, whatever, there's 1,400 are fighting like crazy trying to get on the course. They try to get on, and the first tee time they can get 3 o'clock on the weekend. And that's gonna be that way all year. They never get access to those other tee times.
I mean, we're all adults here. Everybody knows that everybody on this board's a part of leagues in the public golf courses. What do you guys think would be it?
I like my league. My league guys are my biggest spenders. They'll come in, play 9 holes, get a 6-pack, get 2 dogs right after work. They usually all fill, and usually they're pretty good.
Yeah, the leagues in the afternoons are awesome because they're all paying, like he said, they all buy beer. Most of them are paying full, they're not members, they're
Are you
paying.
talking about corporate leagues or are you talking about?
All the corporate, if anybody that's playing in the afternoons, pretty much after work is spending money.
But are these through a company or are they just?
Most of them are through companies.
Okay.
But where we lose, the ones I don't like as much are like the weekend morning ones. People, seem like the 9-hole ones, like he's talking about in the afternoons, are the ones that are, that are consistently and spending money. A lot of the ones that play 18 holes that play in the mornings, like Saturday mornings, a lot of them walk, don't spend a dime. And I think that's the thing that frustrates the weekend morning times all being gone, is what's frustrating the members the most.
Yeah.
Because those guys actually aren't spending that much money. They're just leagues that, are grouping together on weekend mornings and they're making it to where you can't book tee time. So, how many, Poly Pros, how many pros have, morning leagues on weekends? Just me and Michael. And maybe Steve does too. But that's what really fills it up. And they're like, man, I can't play on a weekend morning. Not policy that leagues on a weekend can't play till 11 o'clock.
It's truly when it's the most lucrative tea time.
Oh, yeah.
Again, first thing in the morning.
Yeah, if they're taking like those 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock tea times, I mean, that's when working guy wants to play on Saturday.
Yeah, I can't speak to all the leagues, but to Colin's point, I know our men's club, we play on Saturday morning and there will be guys out there drinking beer until 5 o'clock in the evening.
Okay, well, that's
I mean,
good.
they sit out there and they spend money all day long.
That's good. Ours take a long time to play. They play slow and they,
Might be the exception.
and they don't spend money, but yours is different. Huh?
I would say, as far as them spending money on drinks and all that, or getting a card or not, obviously that's important, but I don't want to say you can't play because you're not drinking beer. Like, that's not, hopefully that's a bonus we get out of the league, but I'm not going to determine, make a decision because this group drinks beer, this group.
Yeah, that's tough. I get that.
I'm focused just on the golf and the fairness of getting tee times. Anybody, Steve, Michael, Tim, any other thoughts?
I don't have a problem. I mean, I have so few leagues on the weekend, 3 tee times here and there, that it's not a big deal. They're consistent. Again, show up in any weather. Most of them now ride. They're getting older, so they're a good bunch of guys, and they play fast. I don't have to worry about pace of play. My first group's off in the morning, the jazz guys, and they run around there in 3 hours, and they're out before anybody else even gets around. So
yeah,
I have very little issues with the leagues.
And I will say this too, so many people that complain thinking everyone gets all these times. I've been trying one by one to invite them in, showing on the screen where I can look up every tee time and I can, this was booked at 5:01 online. This was booked at 5:03 online. I mean, it's literally, it's concert tickets. They go on sale and there's a frenzy to pick them up. So it's not, there's a bigger perception of that than what's reality. But when someone starts naming leagues by name, and I have no argument for that. I have no comeback to, when am I ever going to get the tee time at the prime time? Age or not. I mean, that's just how, that's the only answer.
All of what Steve said is true. Like, our leagues are the same way. They show up on time. They give us the players that are coming. Their pace of play is great and all of that. The communication's outstanding. Previous course that I've been at, one thing I wasn't accustomed to being here is how many times a week the league plays. So that's new for me. You know, if one league can play 3 times a week, how many times a week? Like we talked about earlier, what are we limiting that, or is it just unlimited? So that to me is part of the tee time availability issue, right? But as far as communication and organization, our men's league, our ladies leagues, they're great.
What do we think on number of times per week? Yeah, just focus on that.
Number of times per week, are we talking one individual course or utilizing all 4 of them? One time at each course, maybe twice at one course and one time at the other 3. Only reason I bring that up is because that's how it played.
Right.
Our men's club, we play on Saturday mornings and we play on Wednesday evenings. We play 9 holes. Wednesday evenings, 9 holes, I don't think is an issue. We usually start at 5 o'clock or whatever, and I don't think it's ever that big of a deal on Wednesday evenings. But we do play twice a week as opposed to just once a week, which our couples league won't play once a week. Some of the women's play once a week.
Our group twice a week, but we rotate through all 4 courses.
really like grand scheme of things, you're trying to free up, say there's a 2025 calendar here with all the tee times. And as it sits right now, there's a ton of.
A lot of blacked out spots.
Exactly. So you're trying to free that up a little bit is the goal.
I want to create a policy that I can point to and say, so what if this group and everybody says, we don't need to change it, we just need to, I just want that policy written up where when these guys can point to it when someone's in their face screaming and say, look, here's that. And then they can come to me and I can point to it and say that.
Same time, like you said a little bit ago, shouldn't have to get a membership and join a league to.
Yeah, I've
It's a fine line.
accidentally said that, not accidentally. I've tried that approach a couple times and it got my head ripped off. Yeah, that didn't work at all. I've got guys that I play with, my buddies. I don't want to play with those people. So yeah, that's, yeah, I mean, if we're going to have a league, I would like to see it grow, but I'm not going to force people into it. I'll tell them about it and try to get them interested, but I'm not going to say the only way you can play is to join that.
Well, the policy required the leagues to pay courses a fee, an extra fee. I mean, you say other courses or other places have done that.
Yeah, well, yeah, most of them were the leagues, the ones that said that we run the league. And to be a part of that league, you pay a fee or you prepay your whole year up front. There was one course I talked to, that's what they did.
Independent leagues don't pay the courses anything extra.
I don't think I had anybody tell me that. But they just pay, everyone paid their fee or their card, whatever applicable dues they needed to pay for that day, but not an extra fee. But they were very organized. Like that was the one thing they all said was we know when they're coming. Most of them did not allow weekend leagues and the public courses, and they knew 24 hours in advance how many people were playing. Some of them were 3 days in advance. It wasn't just, we'll see who shows up, like some of ours are right now.
I feel like we've got to put in place a point of contact, a minimum number of players, and then the 24-hour book policy is probably the biggest, to me anyways.
6 p.m.
Except I'd go 6 p, just so it's the same.
6 p.m.
Then at least, one, those tee times get opened up, and two, they get dinged if they don't follow the rules the leagues do.
Yeah.
So if we said they had to have a leadership, their leadership structure has to sign this agreement that we're talking about. Charge some kind of dues. They're limited to a maximum of, a minimum, they have to have a minimum of 2 or 3 tee times. And they can't play more than 2 times a week. Is that gonna get rid of any of the riffraff?
Well, the structure part would,
Extra part would?
but I don't know how to, what if they just go home and top something up and?
Yeah, you're president this year.
Yeah.
We can put all that structure in place, but I'm just not sure we've solved the problem if we do.
I want to make a comment. Let's say, okay, for instance, I have a league and I sign a deal. Okay, I'm going to need 5 tee times this day throughout the whole year. It's 6 o'clock the night before. I have to call and say how many players I have and say I'm going to have 15 players. They say, okay, well, no, you're not going to play 5 threesomes. You're going to play 3 fivesomes. I'm opening up 2 tee times. Sure. Or they may show up, well, we want to play 4, 4, 4, 4, and 3. No, I'm going to play fivesomes. I'm going to open up 2. And that needs to be part of the written agreement that they understand that going in. Yeah. The whole idea is to, I believe this is to make where, okay, we have some tee times open. Instead of wait until the league shows up to see how many people they have.
And this is a new problem, to be honest. The last 3 years before we had tee times, we were trying to fill tee times.
We're happy to have leagues because they took up tee
And
times.
that's why I respect and appreciate that loyalty. I'm not trying to give, I want to make that as clear as I can. I just want some policy in place.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
One.
So the existing leagues, you would already have points of contact. You guys all have points of contact to the existing leagues that you have today, right? So if this tea time issue creates an opportunity for somebody to say, okay, well, I got this group and this group and this group, we're gonna create a league or whatever, we would know that, okay, this is a new league, a new group. I don't know how you,
I mean, maybe we determine how many leagues each course has right now, and we say this is our max.
That's what I was just saying. Maybe if nothing else, maybe the very strict rules apply to new leagues. Maybe you get grandfathered in. And then strict rules that we're gonna try to develop.
So the difference for the existing leagues is we need that sign deal saying you're gonna follow these rules.
Yeah, because I agree, the 6 PM thing is gonna solve a lot of the problems for the ones who,
And then get
The
dinged.
number of people playing too, that's all a lot of problem. Cause you just can't send a massive email and say, okay, 30's gonna show up and only 20 shows up.
And we're giving you these tee times, we're just a little bit of work on your end to help us out.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's pretty common sense it's not asking too much by any means.
For the purposes of getting on with business, maybe we could suggest that staff go through the minutes as all the various things that we've said during the course of the last 30 minutes, compile those and bring this up again at the next meeting. So you can think of it for the next month or so, and then we'd go from there and see if we can come up with a concrete type of plan. Obviously, because of the time of the year, it becomes less critical than it will in April or sometime like that time frame there. So if we can defer that until we assimilate this information and go from there, so we can get on about business. I don't have a problem with this.
nope, sounds good.
Next thing is the equipment plan for purchase of 2025, and I'm betting that the superintendents and some other people got some input here, so.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a kind of update on where we're at. You know, we have our 5-year plan with the equipment. We've been looking at what's available, kind of figuring out what we want to do. We have a $200,000+ in the equipment fund. The first of the year, our equipment budget, obviously, will start, all of our budget will start over. So going. Okay. So what we're looking at right now, we've met all the supers. We've had a couple of different meetings now. And we're looking at, for the rest of this year, kind of looking at prioritizing what they need the most and what's available, talking to vendors, so forth. So we've got rough mower at Mac and Auburn. Text, we're waiting on an answer from a couple of vendors, but we're hoping to get a kind of a utility cart with a Vicon spreader. And then we met Sim, we found a used 4,500 for $30,000 that they're also going to give it a utility cart with that, but it would be 4,500 is a big rough mower. They're what, 80 something thousand new, and this one has 1,800 something hours. So pretty good deal. So I'll stop there right now, see if there are any questions. And everything on here is part of that 5-year plan that we laid out. We've kind of had to adjust some of the order that we worked for getting the stuff just based on issues and things that are most needed. And then
That 2024, is that's actually been purchased or?
no, that's what I would like to move forward with this week. Yeah, we've done all the work. The funds are there, and then I just wanted to present it to you guys and try and.
Ron, is that rough mower, is that another one that's pull behinds that,
No, it's a Toro 7210. It's a 100-inch wide diesel powered. It's a little more compact than like the big 4100s.
And then you can see 2025 next year, this is, and there, you know, there'll be more, but this is kind of what we've identified. And like with tech, some of this may change based on availability. We're hoping to come across that. If not, we would kind of flip, but the equipment is starting to catch up a little bit. You're not having to wait 12, 18 months anymore. They're starting to slowly catch up. It looks like the biggest lead time that they expect right now is 3 to 4 months. So that's a lot better. But I don't want to wait until spring to order something, and now we're not getting it until August, September. I want to get rid of that.
On text, the Vicon spreader there. Do we have spinner type spreaders at all the courses now or not? Personally, I'd like to see us do something in that line is that we could start maybe doing a little more light top dressing and those kind of things, unless there's a reason that we don't want to do that. Of which the spinners are almost necessity if you're gonna do that.
Spinner's just a broadcast.
Yeah,
You talking about a top dresser? I mean,
top dress spreader.
Yeah. I
Spinner.
have a spinner top dresser now, so yeah.
Just
But he's talking about a Vicon fertilizer spreader.
Yeah, but I'm talking about spreaders too.
Yeah.
Yours the only one that we have?
No,
There's one at every course other than
There's one
tax.
there.
Texas is the only one that doesn't have a spinner type top dresser.
I don't think I need a vote or anything, but is there any concern with this plan? I'd like to get going. I know we got a big topic to talk about, so.
I'd give it a thumbs up.
Good.
Sounds good.
Okay, that's perfect.
Blind faith.
All right, I'll make this quick. I mentioned the next thing on the agenda is the point of sale. I just want to talk about, we're doing those demos. Our current system they do an update to create 15 issues. They do an update to fix one of those issues, it creates 15 more issues. So over the last 3 months, I don't know, it's gotten out of control. It deletes memberships for no reason. It's problem after problem. Last year, we were gonna try to switch, but we were stuck with with Bank of America. An exception in, I think, March to get away from that, from Bank of America for just the golf division, because we were tied to the entire city contract. We had that exception, which now frees us up to shop around and make that move. I've got IT on board, I've got finance on board, I've got everyone ready. So we're all gonna be in a big meeting tomorrow and then another one next, Monday, I don't know, sometime next week. But I'd like to move forward as soon as possible. It's probably about a 2-month build because they have to build the program with our needs, the 4 courses, input all the members, the inventory, all that stuff. So it takes about 2 months. I've been through it. It's not fun, but they have kind of a team on their end associated to the project. Our IT people said they would devote some staff to this project. That would also allow us to clean everything up in this process. We would start with a clean system, you know, probably, and it can get, well, you probably don't have it as much as everybody.
The last 2 weeks have been
Okay.
HE double hockey sticks.
Yeah, so we may have one piece of inventory that has, it's in there 5 different ways, or we have one member that has 17 accounts. And so we can clean all that up and get it streamlined the way it should be. The other thing I want to do is, as we do this, I want to make it where everything is a even dollar amount. So once you get tax included, it comes out to $15 to $18, not $18.23. I want to clean that up. We have some cash handling procedures that they've really tightened up on, and I want to eliminate, just make it as simple as possible to not have those errors. So
Cost associated with this change.
it pretty much it's going to be basically a 1-for-1. So we'll get rid of what we pay right now and add the other one, and they're very comparable in price.
They're an upfront. The new one.
No, we pay annually right now, and it would be the same. So there's no upfront, it's just annual. You pay
Can I
annual.
chat with you after this about?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Need to grab that, do you?
This is a fun topic for me, so yeah. The next thing, the irrigation plan. So we put out the RFP. I can't go into it too much, but we've received 4 proposals. We're setting up interviews for Friday and Monday. Once we go through those, they'll come in, each company will come in and do their presentation. I can tell you, I'm very happy with the way those came back, almost a little bit more than expected. So hopefully the presentations go well. We can decide as a group. I've got a member from legal, a member from purchasing, a member from finance. Darren will be on, of course. Put together, a pretty good panel to review those. And then once we select one, it goes to council December 3rd. I think I'm okay to, I may not be able to sit. It should should be good. Money, timeline, everything should be good, so. So any questions about that?
Timeline would be prior to the start of next April or May of next year, or
Yeah, I don't know what I can say, I can't, cause they, yeah, you know, so, but I think it'll work out pretty good.
A word of caution. I've talked to Jesse with it, and like you mentioned a minute ago, the bids or
No, the proposals.
the proposals
Yeah.
came in actually higher overall than we had anticipated. I mean, we were within it.
We can't talk about that,
Can't talk about it.
but that's not accurate, I can tell you that, so I probably shouldn't say that either, but no, I can't talk about it, yeah, I don't wanna say that, but,
We won't talk about it.
yeah. Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, now the fun part. Can you dare, pop up here, I need to get these.
Talk about the rate increase, I'm gonna let him pull it up. So basically, you see this, I think you have it in front of you. Three different options that we kind of discussed, it's this sheet with graphs on it. The top one is what we're currently at, the second one is if we just did an increase across the board, the third one was except for senior and put the restrictions on the weekend. So you guys kick that off now.
Darius, you don't have the dollar number for the increase that we had anticipated for just the actual green fees, do you? Wanted to say we talked like $3 or $4 last
I
time.
think it was 3, wasn't it?
Saying how much we raised green fees by?
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was 3.
Meaning,
It says 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Let's say 3 to 4.
It seemed like that's a good generate more than.
Yeah. Well, we looked at that in terms of
This is what it.
doing that in blue, hitting it again next year again.
Right,
So,
right.
Various, do you know if that 85,000, that's non-member green fees?
yeah, these are green fees.
Well, because we did 160,000 rounds,
About 80,000.
and it's about half and half as far as green fees, and
There's about 80,000.
so that'd be about 80,000 and three, I mean, you're talking about $250,000. Just your luck.
Robert spelled all this. You're welcome.
Okay, I apologize, that had to happen. What,
No, I was just asking about, when we talked about for the regular green fee, raising it $3 or $4. And we had a number there, what we were anticipating that being generated.
yeah, that's what's on the right there. So we had about 85,000 green fees. So $1 increase, $2 increase, $3 increase. That's all.
85,000.
Oh, that's the number of.
Number of non-member rounds.
Yeah, that's non-member round. So if we did $1 increase, that would be the.
Yeah.
And that's annual impact.
Yeah.
If we did
Oh, okay.
$2 Increase.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's, so, yeah, because we talked like $3 or $4 last time at the last meeting.
Yeah,
So the $3 one would be, right, yeah, right at $250,000.
Yes, yes.
I mean,
Makes perfect sense now.
And,
That's your, to council.
Yeah.
right, yeah, I mean, that's the easiest avenue, without a doubt. So I do want to bring up, I know I was asked to do the survey last time. I did not, and I had a reason for that. We just did that $55 annual fee. So many people were calling, not confused on what that was. I didn't want to send something out saying, hey, we have to raise fees and people to get that. They would have went out almost at the exact same time. So Sydney actually worked really hard. We've got the survey, if we still want to go that route, ready to go. I just wanted to put a little space between everyone seeing an extra $55 and then getting an email saying your rates are going up. He's answered 300 phone calls, and for the most part, everybody, what is this? And then he tells them, they're like, oh yeah, thanks. It's not been a big deal. So anyway, I did not do that, but there was a reason. I didn't just get lazy and not do that. But, yeah. Yeah, so to kind of get back on me, yeah, the green fee is the easiest way to get the money. That's pretty straightforward. I don't see a big impact. I don't see anybody going crazy or throwing a fit about that. I think the memberships, it needs to be spread evenly. So the memberships need to take a little bit of that burden, and the green fees need to take a little of that burden. And then of course I want to raise the range balls too, but that's a separate deal. I think the biggest question we need to figure out is just that senior membership. I think I'm okay with the increase. It's just, do we want to do a flat increase, keep it the way it is, or do we want to keep seniors at that rate and exclude weekends? And I went back and forth on this 1,000 times, to be honest with you. I would lay in bed at night just acting like I'm 70, acting like I'm Mike, trying to figure out what would I rather do. What's that, Darren?
The age on
62. Yeah.
Well, if you did the weekend, where they couldn't do the weekend, would they get a discounted rate?
No, they just would not get an increase. Everyone else would go up. They would not get in, they would stay the same, but they would exclude weekends. They wouldn't take that financial hit, but they would not get to play the weekends. Their options would be, if they want to play weekends, they would bump up to an adult membership and pay the full rate, or they could pay green fees on the weekends. I mean, and right now, just to kind of reiterate, on a busy summer weekend, members, there's about 1,600 rounds. Half of those are member and half of those are senior. So about 400 out of the 1,600 tee times on the weekend are senior play.
Say that number again. How many out of how many?
400 out of 1,600.
Seniors or senior members.
Mm-hmm. And that's over a Saturday, Sunday period.
So a quarter of them. To me, and the only reason I like that lower one is strictly because I think it might help with the booking tea times things as well. I think a lot of the seniors will just bump up to the adult. Yeah. Pay the 125 and go. It's still a value that is very, very good. Yeah. But if it does help, kind of thing, I just think that you can kind of kill two birds with one stone. Just my 2 cents.
The seniors I play with most of the time on the weekend, that's when they go to other courses around. So,
yeah, and I've been trying to talk to as many as I can. I know some of you have as well. I've had a few that say, that's going to hit me hard because I play on the weekends. But for the most part, they play Monday through Friday. And a lot of them say, I avoid the weekend because there's so many people. It's a disaster. Yeah. I think that's probably going to be 80% of the seniors, 10% aren't saying anything, and 10% are going to go get really mad. And any way we go, 10% are going to get really mad. I would like to get this out as far in advance as possible, let everybody see it, know it's coming. March 1st will be the implementation. So
yeah, let them marinate on it for a while.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is that I would go for the second one. Is that when we made the last green fee changes, we first adopted a one that hit seniors a little harder and to try to close up the gap that everybody was worried about in terms of cost per round, the senior versus the cost per round for the other categories.
Raised them all $12.
We raised them all because we had to get off of that after all the complaints. We come back and had to redo that following month. Now, what you're proposing, if you do the second one, is going back to the other one where you widen that gap back out again, which I don't think that, I'm in
We
favor
raised them
of.
all $12.
Do you realize what the senior discount is at that second one? How much a discount do you think that is?
I'm not gonna figure it out because I don't think I wanna make it any worse. That's just my opinion. I'm not looking for a pick a fight here.
It goes from 48% to 46%.
Yeah.
46% discount. And you can play on the weekends. I mean, that's super cheap golf on the
I
weekends.
don't disagree. I'm just not gonna widen the gap, in my opinion. I mean, that doesn't mean that's what this board has to do because I have an opinion, does it?
No, you're okay.
Okay, then let's not get all hot about it.
I'm just asking you if you know what that is.
I know I
mean-
don't wanna widen that gap. Whether it's 2% or 3% or 5% or whatever, I think you're.
I would challenge you to find any other golf course that gives their seniors a 46% discount.
Or a 48%.
Or a 48.
However you want to put it. I mean, we're gonna put it to a vote here pretty quick, and however the board votes, that's the way they vote. Now,
I'm sorry if we were chatting and I missed something, but is anybody else, I mean, I get what you're saying about seniors and what's gonna be palatable to them, but what about the difference in 140,000 increase versus the 73,000 increase? Are we not concerned about that?
Well, also there, you're going on the assumption that all the seniors, which is 838 of them, are not gonna go to the adult.
The adult.
And
You're gonna have
so,
a chunk of them that will.
the problem with that is we can't guarantee what that number would look like.
You
That's a
can't
guaranteed
quantify.
amount, but you would open up tee times on the weekend that may be other members, so that may not, you can't guarantee that's an increase.
What's a green fee? 25 bucks? I don't even know, cause I'm a
Full weekends.
On
card, just the green.
It's 37.
yours is
on the weekend, it's 37 and 32.
32 and 35.
32, yeah.
Okay, so roughly, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to say this out loud so it makes sense to me. So if I were to go from senior to adult, at 50 bucks more, go to the adult, which means if I pay twice a month, I've
You've more than paid for
more
it.
than paid for it.
On the weekend.
Pay 2 weekend days a month, I've paid for that adult.
A lot of pushback from the seniors on taking
If I'm the kind of
taking away the weekends, that they have to pay another $50. Ones that do play the weekends. But
You know, get pushed back no matter what, but
Yeah.
But this is gonna overcomplicate things probably, but what if, could we just keep the senior? I don't even wanna say this really. We kept the senior rate where it's at and you had a 5-day pass, or there was a 7-day senior pass, we would add, that was somewhere in between, it was $100.
Who plays? If they
Putting in a new category. Going back to the way it used to be.
I don't know. Wasn't
That's
there.
what it used to be.
So the seniors would have a 5-day pass or a 7-day pass at a much smaller discount. And that may be, I probably shouldn't say that, that just starts to get more complicated, more.
Yeah, the adult pass at $125. I mean, I haven't done the math to see where the break even point is, how many you have to play. But I just think it's a value that is unheard of. I don't know anywhere else except Wichita, Kansas, that you can play all the golf for a month that you want for $125.
Steve and other pros, do you think there'd be more pushback doing the weekend restrictions or the senior rate jumping up more than just $7?
I think weekend restrictions. I feel like $7, they're gonna pay it and have access 7 days a week.
So what about if we bump that to 85?
Spoken like a youngster.
Yeah, really. I mean, you're gonna run into scenarios regardless.
I'm
They're
thinking
gonna-
Steve's right. I think most seniors, if you say your dues went up $6.63. I don't think they're gonna say boo. I think if you say you can't play Saturdays and Sundays anymore, I think they're gonna feel like second-class citizens.
That's what Mark's and I were just talking about.
Nobody's saying they can't play.
I understand, but I have a restriction, you don't now.
I can see the argument of everybody else got a $7 increase. For me to keep my same membership, I got a $55 increase, or whatever that is.
That 125 is gonna feel big. I don't know if it is the best deal.
That'll definitely, I'm not saying that's not the way to go, but that would be the argument.
I don't think anybody's gonna get too pushed back about $6 and change.
So the restriction numbers taken into account of what we would make with a full paying golfer?
No, that's just,
Because in my opinion, I think there should be no passes on the weekend.
You think what?
I don't think there should be any passes. Because like if you got a Sims on a Saturday,
You just made all
the
the
first 70 will just be members. It would solve like none of my guys can play Auburn Hills on the weekends.
yeah.
That kind of eliminates younger crowd that are still working the weekend. They don't,
Yeah.
weekdays, they can only play on the weekend.
So to benefit them, they'd come out to my place and pay $50 to play. That would be, I wouldn't lose one tee time. It'd fill up.
A lot of them talked to, and like I say, it was just the senior league that I talked to, but they said they just played during the week, and so they didn't want raised at all. It was like, don't raise it, it's not in my budget, yada, yada, yada. And everybody had their own story. I kind of like the idea of giving them an option too. You have an option to go with the 5-day, or you have an option to go up. It's, it's your choice. At least that way you're giving them an option. The other way, you're just, boom, this is what it is.
So I'm just gonna throw out an anecdotal story here that, Willow Bend did something similar to this recently. They said, your dues are either gonna go up a whole bunch and you keep your 7-day play anytime you want to deal, or your dues go up a whole lot less, but you're restricted to 5 days. And a bunch of people went with the 5-day thing and said, I'll just pay the green fee to come play on the weekends. And they don't. They just don't. It irritates them to have to go in and pay a fee now. If they happen to decide, because a bunch of people want to go on Saturday morning. Our ladies group, it's not a league. It's very informal. Very informal group of ladies who used to play every Saturday and Sunday at Willow Bend. And all the gals who said, no, I'll just go with the 5-day and I'll play on the weekends whenever I feel like it and pay the green fee. They never show up.
That would happen at our courses.
I don't think there's anything we can do to not have full tee sheets on the weekend. Tee sheets are gonna be full. It's, to me, it's figuring out the fairest way to get the increase. Honestly, if we eliminated memberships on the weekend, we would have full spring play, without a doubt. So. Now, we don't want to see this. I don't think the goal is to get tee sheets full. The goal is to figure out the fairest way to get the increase that we have to get.
I know when I ran the numbers on, how much each round goes to the revenue side, at the $70 rate, it was like $14.30 cents. And then if you bumped it up to $77, it was like $15.80 cents. So even at that, if you can play on the weekend on Saturday and Sunday for $15.
And if you take
Taking up a quarter of getting tee
if you
time.
take 200 seniors out of that equation, it's probably more like $8 because there's so many of them that play every single day.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. That's great. I mean, but
Yeah, that's not an individual number. You're right.
Yeah. Um, So let's start on the other side. Are we good with the $3 increase on the green fee side? I think that's,
Nobody would know.
and $1.50 for 9 holes. $2 for 9 holes.
40 and 35 then, right? On the weekends,
Auburn would be,
40 and 35.
sure, yeah.
That gives you an even number that you were talking about, $15 for a card.
Right.
Write checks in at $55.
Okay, okay, so. I mean, I say if we don't decide tonight, I want to decide 100% next meeting and get this out and. I mean, we're picking it, so.
Are you guys ready to make a call tonight, or would you rather not?
Rather talk to some people.
But we want to wait, we're looking at December.
You say you had that survey ready?
Yeah, we've got, no, I meant to print it. It's, that's what I meant somehow.
I didn't see it in here, but.
Oh, no, I did right here.
Yeah, and is it the survey option 1, option 2?
Yeah, so this is what, actually, we wanted to first talk about the irrigation, how good that is, benefits of that bowl, and then make sure everyone's aware that this is a council mandated increase. It's not your trumpet. We've got the current rates and then option 1, option 2, and then at the bottom, just basically making sure we're also sharing this burden with green fee play. Anyone that plays our courses is gonna have a small impact, whether that's green fee going up or membership. And then we would put in there basically, which do you prefer?
This is gonna be emailed or now.
This is ready to go out. I would suggest that we postpone this vote until the following meeting and results, get some results, sending for this.
Yeah, we would put this, it'll be in a survey form on email. We'll send it out to all the members. And then probably get 30% feedback, typical.
Either way, you're getting feedback.
Yep. And I'll try to put, I'll probably put an open, do you like option 1, option 2, any additional comments? And then we'll see how that goes. It'll go all over the place. If I don't do that, there's, okay.
Not like we need that feedback anyway, right? I mean, because instead of making the poll tonight, we still gotta wait till next month as well.
Yep. So I'll send that out. If you, again, the more people you guys can talk to and get opinions from, the better. Okay. And then if we can quickly, Trevor, it's got to go there before. Put it together, so I'd like to get him over. While he's on his way up there, I want to thank staff for being here. I know it's everything going on all day, every day, and then having to come to these things at night. It's not the easiest thing. So I know during the season, it's not easy. So again, I appreciate it. And that little bit of off time you have being up here.
Be your next.
Hello again, everybody. I'll make it quick. I know we're kind of there today here. Talk about some plan additions. We got to the end of the year. We kind of saw how much money we had in our marketing budget. We had about 15 to 20,000. We wanted to spend that on some more cement for the clubhouses. RPB Sim. They also have some pictures of the course inside. After this, shut up. This is Mac. They have the signage on the inside. They're gonna have someone on the outside just like send it. It's backward. It's still on the way. Then the pictures of the golf course and range. Those are all down the hallway, kind of displayed as you walk towards the restrooms.
Real quick, if you've been down the hallway at Mac, it was just a board to put, and people were putting all kinds of garbage up there. So we're trying to figure out what to use. We left you can't see it. We left a little section about this wide for someone to hang something if they want, but we put these pictures and I think they turned out really well.
Then here's specs. I know you kind of see that line through the middle. We're gonna work on getting that either painted or taken out, depending on if there's a binder there. And then as far as the F&B side, we're working on digital menus. We used to have the plug and play kind of menus. That's the draft of what the menu is going to look like. That's going to involve our base menu of items, what all the courses are going to offer. And for the most part, it's just getting all the courses ready for this next upcoming season.
And to your point, staffing is a big problem with that.
Here's an example of text. The one where you can see Robbie in the TV, that's going to be the big vertical board where you saw that draft of the menu, so it'll be displayed right there. Their old TV that they had there, it's still going to be there. It's going to be like the drink menu for them. Obviously, each of the courses have a very different layout, so we're going to have to figure out the best way to do this at every course, but this is what we've done at Tex. Social media side of things. Here's just some numbers. October 2023 to October 2024. October was my first full month running our Facebook page. And they're probably kind of hard to see from where you're at, so I'll just kind of read to you the first couple. So on the left is 2024, reaching almost 6,000 accounts. Those are unique accounts for just that one post with over 9.2 thousand views. That was my best post of October. Looking at the best post from October 2023, it's going to be in the picture to your right. Their best post reached 1.8, so 1,800 unique posts. So there you can kind of see the increase in engagement that we're receiving there. So as far as social media, the plan is to continue to increase engagement. For example, our 2025 base programming is complete, so now I'm starting to lay out the marketing plan that's going to be notifying the public of our programming that's going to be happening across all 4 courses. As far as food and beverage, I'll just touch on just a little bit more here. We are starting to incorporate some of our inventory procedures. There's not a big enough sample size quite yet to see where we're at in the stage. We've done it 3 times with feedback from the pros. I'm beginning to think we're getting there. It's been very hit or miss. I don't know what they did for us. An example of that would be food and beverage policy. Each course kind of had their own manuals of how they did things. I worked with Lily Meadows. She was a fellow working here in the city. And she worked with me. We got all of the policies that we had for all 4 courses together for just the food and bev side, and we compiled them, took the best of each, and we are rolling out a brand new food and beverage policy that's going to be uniform for all 4 courses. So that's going to be cool to see. That's like opening procedures, safe temperatures, food handling. I was going to add it, but it's about 36 pages long. So if anybody wants to just ask me, I can get it to you. But that's all I really have. Any questions? Good answer.
On the app, I've looked on there several times during inclement weather, and I might see a course that says no carts today or carts on path, but I don't see it as a rule. And I can see that happen if we can.
Okay.
I mean, and I know somebody has to call in or put it in there or whatever you gotta do. But
What do you mean as a rule? Like that it has to be updated every day? Is that what you're saying?
no. If you have inclement weather, it should come up. Carts on path at whatever golf, because it doesn't rain the same at McDonald, maybe as it does at Pawnee or Auburn or thus. But it doesn't show, because I know they're all carts on path today, but it didn't show that. So.
It does, and you can go in and see.
Course conditions on it.
Course conditions.
So we update that so normally Steve is our go-to, and all the courses call him or text him and let him know. He's not had a phone for about a month. Samsung is, but we've still been handling it.
The only one that came up the other day was Tex Gonzalez. It doesn't mean that not this morning. I didn't look because I knew it rained. I wasn't going out.
Should be updated.
Historically, Steve's done it. I'm more than willing to take that off his plate. I know he's probably got enough going on. And even going out to reach out to the pros, I have no problem doing that. It's just something I haven't got to quite yet, but I do agree that those course condition updates are 100% necessary.
Maybe I just missed it. Maybe I looked at the wrong thing. I looked at the message center.
I'm looking at today, it's got carts on path, range closed, Auburn carts on path, range closed, front 9 closed.
Maybe I looked at the message center.
Oh, I got you.
I look.
Yeah. Worst
That's a
condition.
message to me.
So Trevor, the area that you guys were talking about, putting extra storage and stuff at Auburn,
Yeah.
there on the east side, is that still kind of?
Yeah, they went yesterday, found all the cabinets. We're looking at the counter. I was actually gonna talk to you after this. We can get countertop. I'll show you what we've got put together, but basically exactly what we talked about, putting the counters around the outside, with the countertop around the outside. A small counter against the wall with the door, and then it's bringing out, there'll be a cooler and the trash can with a little back. So I can show you that layout, but we got all that measured out, found everything. Got it pretty inexpensive, very inexpensive, but yeah, I can show you all that. I mean, we've been working on
Well,
that.
Deanna had asked me about the countertops a while back, and I told her, yeah, I said, whatever, just let me know when.
Yeah, that was the last piece of the puzzle, is figuring out what kind of countertops we want, and if we want them to match, get your, like, tell us what we need to do to.
Easy peasy.
Kind of countertops, but
Just go over regular MDF. Talk to.
okay.
For those that didn't see it, I stopped by Tex today, and when I turned into the drive, that Tech Consolidator got, that was really attractive out there. It's very noticeable, so.
Okay. So and real quick before Trevor gets down, he's been here a month and we're slowly, or I don't know, 6 weeks, whatever it's been, we're slowly kind of adding onto his plate and building it as he gets more familiar. He's done a fantastic job. Social media posts, if you kind of look at what we do, it's getting way more active. We're getting way more activity. He had that post about Mac that had like 130 likes or something and all kind of comments. We're really working on getting a little bit more information out. Like that's our main goal, is make sure we're getting information out on what's going on. I want to get, not me, but get staff more in front of these videos and pictures to kind of build that connection between this is our pro, this is our people, and kind of make it more personal that way. And then we've got some kind of funny ideas that we want to get back to. I mean, people, that type of engagement, people, I mean, they walk into the clubhouse and you think it's the stupidest thing you've ever done. And 50 people come in and be like, hey, I saw that video. Here's what you need to do next. And you're like, okay, get somewhere they kind of feel like this is our place now. So he's doing a really good job and a big focus on social media. And
I just got one other question. I've looked at that picture and I've been at Sim Park since 1962 and I can't figure out the angle of that photo.
Can you stop sharing? What picture are you talking about?
Sim Park,
You're talking about the picture that's up on the wall,
yeah.
and you're trying to figure out.
It's on in the front of your monthly magazine too. Picture of Sim Park. It says Sim Park on it, and it shows the building that's on the other side of McLean Boulevard, but I can't figure out the angle of that sucker. Anybody else figured it out?
I have to see what picture. So where are you seeing this picture? Where is it at? Where I can look at it?
Well, your monthly magazine you got out, it's got it all. It's in the,
The golf guide? It's just back, the golf guide has this Arthur B. Sim picture on it. It's flipped. For a flip, that's probably why it's inverted.
Oh,
It's because of the.
way to go.
It's
The one
weird.
out backward.
I gotta see what you're talking about. I don't know which picture you're talking about.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out where to.
Mike, can we go home?
No.
I wanna show you this real quick. This is the food and beverage policy that manually he's talking about. Like it's not just a quick throw something together. It's got a lot of work in it, so.
All right, before we adjourn, you've all been doing a lot of talking. Does anybody on the staff have anything they'd like to get in before this meeting adjourns? Heard nothing.
Trying to say anything else.
Should have been at the basketball game. Good adjourn. Take a vote.
Yay. There's a British Malaya. Your email really flattered late last week, this Friday.